I'm Zara, 26, a blonde, blue-eyed firecracker who used to turn heads as a financial analyst in San Francisco's foggy startup scene. I poured my sweat, tears, and cash into propping up my family, especially my dreamer brother Ezra, whose half-baked schemes, vegan bakeries, live-stream apps, always crashed and burned. But when they demanded I fork over my entire $50,000 savings for his latest bullshit education app, I drew the line. No way. That's when they turned on me, calling me selfish, ungrateful, a traitor to the blood. You only care about yourself, Mom screamed, her words cutting deeper than I'd admit. So I packed my bags, fled to Austin's neon-lit streets, and cut them off. Now, as I rebuild my life, 6 urgent calls from Oakland light up my phone, begging for rescue. Stick around to see how I chose revenge. Not with fists, but with freedom. Drop a comment with where you're listening from and when, and hit subscribe to catch more stories of fighting back. I'm Zara, 26, a financial analyst at a tech startup in San Francisco. And let me tell you, my life was never as glamorous as my looks might suggest. With long blonde hair and blue eyes that got me called Vogue cover material by my coworkers, I could have fooled you into thinking I had it all together. But picture this, me, trudging through the morning fog on Market Street, a lukewarm coffee in hand, eyes burning from staring at spreadsheets until 2 a.m. That was my reality, 12-hour workdays, a cramped studio apartment, and a fridge stocked with nothing but leftover pizza and regret. Damn, it was exhausting, but I kept going, not for me, but for them, my family in Oakland. I grew up in a modest clapboard house, the kind with creaky floors and a tiny backyard where Mom tried to grow roses but mostly got weeds. My parents, Dad a mechanic and Mom a part-time receptionist, were always scraping by. Then there was Ezra, my 22-year-old brother, the golden boy with big dreams and zero follow-through. His schemes, a vegan bakery that tanked in 6 months, a live-streaming app that never launched, were like black holes for my paycheck. You're the big sister, Zara. You've got to help him, Dad would say, his voice heavy with expectation, like it was my job to keep Ezra's head above water. Screw it, I thought, but I did it anyway. Every time he crashed and burned, I'd wire money, my savings for my own dream, a financial consulting firm, shrinking with every transfer. Looking back, I see it clear as the San Francisco skyline on a rare sunny day. I was their ATM, their safety net, their fixer. I'd sit in my apartment at night, the city's lights twinkling across the bay, and wonder when I'd get to live for me. My childhood wasn't all bad, but it was lopsided. I remember being 12, scrubbing dishes while Ezra played video games. Mom saying, "You're older, Zara. You set the example." By 16, I was working part-time at a coffee shop, saving for college, while Ezra got new sneakers and guitar lessons. My 18th birthday, I got a card and a pat on the back. Ezra's? A party with a DJ and a cake shaped like a guitar. I told myself it was fine, that love wasn't measured in dollars, but deep down, it stung. Work was my escape, my proving ground. At the startup, I was a rock star, crunching numbers, building models, making clients nod in approval. The office, all glass and steel, hummed with ambition, the kind of place where ideas could make or break you. I thrived there, even if it meant guzzling Red Bull to stay awake during late-night data dives. My boss, Rachel, called me the backbone of the team, and that felt good, like I was worth something beyond my family's demands. But even that came with a price. I'd skip happy hours, miss dates, cancel plans, all to keep up with work and send money home. My best friend Mia would text, "Zara, when's the last time you had fun?" I'd laugh it off, but the truth was, I couldn't remember. I wasn't just running on fumes. I was running on guilt. Every dollar I didn't send home felt like a betrayal. I'd lie awake staring at the ceiling, the hum of the city outside my window, thinking about the $50,000 USD I'd saved for my consulting firm. It was my ticket out, my chance to build something that was mine. But every time Ezra called with another game-changing idea, I'd feel that knot in my stomach, the fear that saying no would make me the selfish bitch they'd later call me. I'd walk to work, the San Francisco fog wrapping around me like a cold hug, and replay Dad's words. Family comes first, Zara. But what about me? When did I come first? I remember one night, sitting on my balcony, the bay glittering like a sheet of black diamonds. I was scrolling through my bank account, seeing the numbers I'd clawed together over years of skipped vacations and consignment store clothes. I thought about my dream, helping people like me, people from families who didn't know the first thing about money, build a future. It felt so close, yet so far, like the Golden Gate Bridge shrouded in mist. Ezra's last failure, that damn livestream app, cost me $5,000. I never got back. I told myself it was the last time, but I knew better. They'd ask again, and I'd be the one to pay. That night, as I watched the city lights flicker, I felt it, a crack in the foundation I'd built my life on. I wasn't just tired, I was breaking. I was surviving, sure, but barely, carrying the weight of a family that saw me as a means to an end. I didn't know it then, but that moment, with the salty bay air on my skin and the city's pulse in my ears, was the last time I'd feel like their Zara. Something was coming, something that would shatter everything. And I'd have to decide, keep saving them or save myself. The Oakland air hit me like a slap as I stepped out of my car that Saturday evening, the scent of grilled meat and charcoal wafting from my parents' clapboard house. I'd been on edge all week, that crack in my foundation from those late-night balcony moments still raw. I knew this dinner wasn't just about Mom's BBQ ribs and mashed potatoes. It was a setup. My family didn't roll out the good plates unless they wanted something big. As I walked up the creaky porch steps, the yellow glow of the dining room spilled onto the lawn, and I braced myself, my gut whispering, "Here we go." Inside, the table was set like it was Thanksgiving, complete with Mom's chipped china and a centerpiece of wilting daisies. Ezra, my 22-year-old brother, was already there, his dark curls bouncing as he fiddled with his laptop, that smug grin plastered on his face. Dad sat at the head sipping a beer, while Mom bustled in the kitchen, her apron stained with barbecue sauce. "Zara, you're here," she called, her voice too bright, like she was trying to sell me something. I forced a smile, my heels clicking on the hardwood as I took my seat, the same one I'd sat in since I was a kid, right next to Ezra's empty chair. Dinner started with small talk, Dad grumbling about the A's losing streak, Mom asking about my job like she actually cared. But the air was thick, like the calm before a storm. Then Ezra stood up, cleared his throat like some wannabe tech bro, and launched into his pitch. "I've got the next big thing," he said, clicking open a PowerPoint that looked like it was made in 10 minutes. His idea: an AI-powered education app to personalize learning by scraping user data. It sounded flashy, but the slides were a mess. No market research, no financial projections, not even a prototype. Just buzzwords and clip art. I leaned back, arms crossed, trying to keep an open mind. But damn, it was hard. Mom and Dad ate it up, their eyes sparkling like Ezra was Steve Jobs reincarnated. Then came the bombshell. "Zara, we need your help to make this happen," Mom said, her voice soft but pointed. "Your savings, $50,000. It's enough to get Ezra's app off the ground." My fork froze halfway to my mouth, mashed potatoes sliding off. My savings. The money I'd scraped together over years of skipped vacations, consignment store dresses, and late nights at the office. The money for my dream, a financial consulting firm to help people like us. People who grew up with nothing but debt and bad decisions. I set my fork down, my voice steady but sharp. "Ezra, the online education market is saturated. You need data, a prototype, something to show investors. This plan's got nothing." His face twisted, like I'd slapped him. "You're just shooting it down because you don't get it, Zara," he snapped. "This is revolutionary," I tried again, calmer. "I'm not saying no forever. Get a real business plan, and I'll consider a smaller investment. That's when Mom's face crumpled, tears welling up. How can you be so selfish, Zara? This is your brother's dream. Dad slammed his beer down, his voice booming. You've got the money, sitting there doing nothing. Your family, you don't get to say no. The room spun. I flashed back to last Christmas, when I canceled a ski trip with friends to bail Ezra out of his vegan bakery flop. $5,000 I never saw again. I saw my 16-year-old self, working double shifts at a coffee shop to help with the mortgage, while Ezra got new sneakers. My whole life I'd been their fixer, their bank, but never their daughter. Selfish, I said, my voice trembling. I've been paying for Ezra's screw-ups since I was a teenager. When do I get to have a dream? Mom's tears didn't stop, but her voice turned cold. You're not the one with a bright future, Zara. Ezra is. You're just practical. That word, practical, hit like a knife. It wasn't just an insult. It was a verdict. In their eyes, I was the workhorse, not the dreamer. The dining room felt suffocating, the smell of BBQ now sour in my nose. I stood my chair scraping the floor and grabbed my purse. I'm done, I said, my voice barely above a whisper. You don't get to decide what I'm worth. Ezra scoffed, muttering, bitch, under his breath. Mom gasped, but Dad just glared, like I'd betrayed them all. I walked out, the porch door slamming behind me, the Oakland streetlights blurring through tears I refused to let fall. Driving back to my apartment, the San Francisco skyline loomed in the distance, its lights cold and distant. My hands shook on the wheel, my heart pounding with a mix of rage and relief. I'd said no, finally, but at what cost? The family I'd spent my life propping up had just torn me down, called me selfish for wanting something of my own. As I pulled into my parking spot, the fog rolling in off the bay, I knew one thing for sure. I couldn't stay here, not in this city, not in this life. I was a survivor, but surviving wasn't enough anymore. I needed to live. The San Francisco fog was thicker than usual that night, swallowing my car as I drove back from Oakland, the streetlights barely cutting through the haze. My hands still shook on the steering wheel, the echo of Mom's words, "You're just practical," and Ezra's hissed, "bitch," ringing in my ears like a bad song on repeat. I'd said no to them for the first time, walked out of that suffocating dining room with its chipped china and wilting daisies. But the weight of their accusations clung to me like damp air. I wasn't just angry, I was unraveling. As I pulled into my parking spot, the city's skyline blurred through my windshield, a reminder of the life I'd been grinding through. 12-hour days, pizza dinners, and a bank account drained for Ezra's dreams. Damn it, I was done being their ATM. Back in my studio, the air felt stale, the hum of the fridge louder than ever. I dropped my purse on the floor, the contents spilling out. Keys, lipstick, a crumpled receipt from Joe's Coffee in Austin, where I'd gone for a conference last year. That receipt stopped me cold. I remembered Austin's golden sunlight, the way the River Colorado sparkled, the buzz of 6th Street's music scene. It felt like freedom, a place where I wasn't Zara, the fixer. I sank onto the couch, staring at the receipt, my heart pounding. Screw it, I whispered to the empty room. I need to live for me. By 2 a.m., my laptop was open, and I was searching for flights to Austin, Texas. The decision came fast, like a wave crashing over me. I couldn't stay in San Francisco. Not with the fog pressing in, not with my family's expectations chaining me to a role I'd never chosen. I booked a one-way ticket for the next morning, my hands trembling not from fear, but from something else, exhilaration. I was 26, a survivor of years spent propping up a family that saw me as a means to an end. Now I was choosing myself, and it felt like jumping off a cliff. The next week was a blur of action. I emailed my boss, Rachel, requesting a leave of absence, citing personal reasons. She replied, "Take care, Zara, you're too good to lose." I didn't tell her I wasn't coming back. I found a studio apartment in Austin's South Congress, a shoebox with peeling paint but a view of the city's quirky skyline. I called a startup I'd met at that Austin conference, and they offered me a job as a financial analyst. Less pay, more risk, but a fresh start. I packed 2 suitcases, leaving half my life in boxes for storage. My apartment looked like a crime scene, clothes strewn across the floor, dishes piled in the sink. But I didn't care. I was done tidying up other people's messes. I turned off my phone before I left, the screen going black like a final goodbye. No calls, no texts, no voicemails from Mom begging me to reconsider or Ezra whining about his app. The silence was deafening but liberating. At the airport, as I boarded the plane, the San Francisco skyline faded behind me, swallowed by clouds. I felt a pang of guilt. Years of being the good daughter didn't vanish overnight, but it was drowned out by a stronger feeling. Relief. I was a survivor, not just of that dinner, but of a lifetime of being undervalued. Austin was my chance to rewrite the script. Landing in Austin, the sun hit me like a warm embrace, the air sharp with the scent of cedar and barbecue. My new apartment was smaller than my San Francisco studio, with a creaky window overlooking a neon-lit taco stand. I didn't have much, just my suitcases, a laptop, and that crumpled Joe's coffee receipt. But it felt like enough. I spent my first morning at Joe's, sipping an iced latte, watching hipsters and musicians weave through South Congress. The street buzzed with life, street art, food trucks, the twang of a guitar from a nearby bar. It was the opposite of San Francisco's cold fog, and I let it sink into my bones. I started exploring Austin like a kid discovering a new playground. I wandered the farmers market at Republic Square, picking up peaches and chatting with vendors. I caught a free concert at Zilker Park, the music washing over me as I lay on the grass, staring at a sky so blue it hurt. For the first time in years, I wasn't checking my bank account every hour, wasn't waiting for Ezra's next crisis. My new job starts in a week, and I have spent my days preparing, brushing up on financial models, sketching ideas for my consulting firm. But I also let myself breathe. I signed up for a salsa dancing class, my heels clicking awkwardly on the studio floor, and laughed at myself for the first time in forever. Sitting on my tiny balcony one night, the Austin skyline twinkling with possibility, I realized I wasn't running away. I was running toward something. I'd survived years of being my family's safety net, but now I was building my own. The guilt still lingered, a faint shadow whispering, "You abandoned them." But I pushed it down. I wasn't their Zara anymore. I was just Zara, and Austin was where I'd figure out who that was. Little did I know, the real test was coming. A betrayal at work and those 6 urgent calls that would force me to decide how far I'd go to protect my new life. The Austin sun was relentless, pouring through my tiny apartment's creaky window as I sat on my balcony, the neon glow of the taco stand across the street flickering like a heartbeat. It had been a week since I'd landed in the city, leaving behind San Francisco's fog and my family's accusations, Mom's tearful selfish, and Ezra's venomous bitch, still stinging like fresh cuts. I was a survivor, clawing my way toward a new life, sipping iced lattes at Joe's Coffee, dancing awkwardly at salsa classes, and feeling the first sparks of freedom. But damn, I didn't expect the next blow to come so soon. Not from a place I thought was my fresh start. My new job at a tech startup in downtown Austin was a gamble. Less pay, more chaos, but a chance to rebuild. The office was a converted warehouse, all exposed brick and open ceilings, buzzing with coders in hoodies and ping pong games during lunch. I dove in head first, crafting financial models to pull the company out of a cash flow mess. Numbers were my language. They didn't lie, didn't call me selfish. I was good, damn good. And my new boss, Claire, noticed, tossing me a nice work Zara after my first presentation. It felt like a lifeline, a sign I could be more than my family's ATM. Then there was Lena, a marketing analyst with a quick laugh and a habit of bringing glazed donuts to our morning huddles. She was the first person I clicked with, the kind of coworker who'd share her coffee and vent about deadlines over beers at a 6th Street bar. We bonded fast, swapping stories about startup life, her southern drawl making me feel at home in this foreign city. I let my guard down, something I hadn't done since Oakland. One night, over tacos at Guero's, I told her about my idea, a bold restructuring plan to streamline the company's finances, attract investors, and maybe, just maybe, prove I could lead. I sent her my draft, a spreadsheet packed with projections, trusting her like a fool. Friday afternoon, I walked into the office, the hum of AC mixing with the clack of keyboards. We had a big meeting with the board, a chance to pitch my plan. I was ready, my laptop loaded, my nerves buzzing but steady. But as I grabbed a coffee from the break room, I overheard Lena's voice through the thin walls of Claire's office. "Zara's great with numbers, but she's not a visionary," she said, her tone sharp. "I've reworked her plan, my plan now, and it's ready to lead us forward." My stomach dropped, the coffee cup burning my hand. I checked my email and saw it. Lena had sent the board my restructuring plan, rebranded as hers, with a note suggesting I was better suited for back-end work. She'd even started a whisper campaign, telling colleagues I was too rigid to lead, planting seeds to edge me out. I stood there, frozen, the office's fluorescent lights glaring like a spotlight on my stupidity. Damn, I'd been betrayed again. First my family, now Lena. The sting was sharper because I'd let her in, shared my dream like it was safe. I flashed back to that Oakland dinner, Mom's tears, Ezra's smirk, the way they'd dismissed my dream as practical. Lena's betrayal felt like an echo, like the universe was testing me, asking if I'd let another knife slide into my back. I wanted to scream, to storm into Claire's office and call Lena out, but I held it together. I was a survivor, and survivors don't break, they fight. That night in my apartment, the Austin skyline twinkling beyond the taco stand's neon, I sat with my laptop staring at Lena's email. My plan, my work, was now hers, and she was gunning for my spot. I thought of San Francisco, the nights I'd spent saving for my consulting firm, only to have my family demand it for Ezra's flops. I'd been too trusting then, too quick to give. Not this time. I pulled up my files, every email, every draft, every time-stamped note I'd sent Lena. Evidence. I wasn't going down without a fight. As I lay in bed, the ceiling fan creaking above me, I felt that crack in my foundation again, the one from those San Francisco nights. But this time, it wasn't just pain, it was resolve. I'd left Oakland to escape being used, but here I was, facing the same game in a new city. Lena thought she could bury me, just like my family thought they could guilt me into submission. They were wrong. Tomorrow's board meeting would be my chance to reclaim my work, my worth. But as I drifted to sleep, the buzz of my silenced phone against the nightstand hinted at another storm, those 6 urgent calls from my family, waiting to drag me back into their chaos. The Austin morning was electric, the sky a blazing blue as I walked into the startup's converted warehouse office, my heels clicking against the polished concrete floor. Last night's discovery of Lena's betrayal, stealing my financial restructuring plan and bad-mouthing me to the board, had left me reeling, a fresh wound layered over the scars from that Oakland dinner where my family called me selfish. I'd spent hours in my South Congress apartment, the neon taco stand glowing outside, compiling evidence, emails, drafts, timestamps proving the plan was mine. I was a survivor, damn it, and I wasn't letting Lena or anyone else bury me. But as I sat at my desk, the hum of coders and ping-pong games fading into a dull roar, my phone buzzed against my thigh. 6 missed calls from my family. The storm I'd fled in San Francisco was catching up. I ignored the phone, focusing on the board meeting ahead. The conference room was all glass and steel, sunlight streaming through, making Lena's smug smile even more infuriating as she set up her laptop. She wore a tailored blazer, playing the part of the visionary she'd claimed I wasn't. My heart pounded, but I kept my face stone cold. When she started presenting my plan, my projections, my strategy, rebranded as hers, I stood up, cutting her off mid-sentence. "Interesting," I said, my voice sharp as a blade, "because that's the plan I sent you last week, Lena." The room went silent, all eyes on me. I pulled up my laptop, projecting emails, drafts, and edit histories, each click exposing her theft. Lena's face drained of color, her stammered excuses drowning in the board's murmurs. Claire, my boss, leaned forward, her eyes narrowing. "Lena, step outside. Zara, take over." I walked to the front, my pulse racing but my voice steady, laying out the plan, my plan, with the confidence I'd honed in San Francisco's cutthroat startup world. The board nodded, Claire scribbled notes, and by the end, I was assigned to lead the project. Lena slunk out, her blazer no longer a shield. I should have felt triumphant, but as I left the room, the weight of my phone in my pocket pulled me back. I slipped into my car during lunch, the Austin heat wrapping around me like a warning, and finally checked those voicemails. Each one was a punch, dragging me back to Oakland's pain. First, Ezra, his voice dripping with rage. "Zara, where the hell are you? The company needs cash now, and you're gone. You're so damn selfish." Then Mom, her tone frantic. "Zara, honey, call me back. Ezra says the app's collapsing without funding. I'm scared." Dad's came next, gruff and accusatory. "You dare abandon us now? Ezra needs you, and you're hiding like a coward." The fourth was Ezra again, panic creeping in. "Sis, the investors bailed. They said my plan's a bust. You were right, okay? Help me." Mom's fifth message broke, her voice trembling. "Zara, your dad's in the hospital. Stress. We owe $100,000. We might lose the house. You're our only hope." Finally, Ezra, sobbing. "I screwed up, sis. The company's done. Mom and Dad are falling apart. Please, save us." I sat there, the car's AC blasting, my hands shaking. Tears stung my eyes, but I blinked them back. I saw myself at 16, working double shifts to help with the mortgage, while Ezra got guitar lessons. I saw Last Christmas, canceling my ski trip to bail him out of his vegan bakery flop, $5,000 I'd never see again. I saw Mom's tears, Dad's glare, calling me practical, like it was a curse. A part of me wanted to fly back, empty my savings, fix their mess like always. But another part, the one that had survived years of being their ATM, screamed, "No, this isn't my burden." The word selfish echoed from that dinner, but now it felt like a lie. I wasn't selfish. I was done being used. The Austin skyline shimmered through my windshield, a city that had promised freedom, but now tested my resolve. Lena's betrayal had been a mirror, reflecting my family's pattern. Take from Zara, dismiss Zara. Expect Zara to save the day. I'd fought for my place in that boardroom, and I'd fight for my life now. I turned off my phone, the screen going black like a closed door. I wasn't ready to face those voicemails, not yet. I needed to hold on to this moment, the victory over Lena, the clarity of my worth. But as I drove back to the office, the weight of those 6 calls lingered, a ticking bomb I knew I'd have to defuse soon. The Austin skyline glittered beyond my South Congress apartment, the neon glow of the taco stand pulsing like a warning as I sat on my balcony, my laptop casting a cold blue light on my face. The boardroom victory over Lena earlier that day, exposing her theft of my financial restructuring plan, should have felt like a triumph. But those 6 voicemails from my family, each one a desperate plea from Oakland, weighed heavier than ever. Ezra's sobs, Mom's trembling voice, Dad's hospital scare, they clawed at me, dragging up memories of being their ATM, their practical fixer. I was a survivor, damn it, but the fight wasn't over. I'd won one battle in the office, but now I had to decide, would I cave to my family's crisis or stand my ground? I opened my email, the cursor blinking like a challenge. Those voicemails, Ezra's, "You're selfish," and Mom's, "You're our only hope," echoed the Oakland dinner where they'd called me ungrateful for protecting my $50,000 dream. I saw myself at 16, scrubbing coffee shop counters to help with their mortgage, while Ezra got guitar lessons. I saw last Christmas, my ski trip was canceled to cover his vegan bakery flop. "No more," I typed, my fingers steady. "I'm not your bank. I'm sending a list of financial advisors in Oakland and strategies to avoid foreclosure. Ezra needs to own his mess. You figure it out." I attached the names of 3 advisors, plus steps like selling the house or filing for bankruptcy protection. I hit send, my heart racing, not with guilt, but with a strange, fierce relief. I'd drawn a line, and it felt like cutting a chain. Back at the office, the warehouse's exposed brick walls and buzzing energy felt different now, sharper. I'd been assigned to lead the restructuring project, but Lena was still lurking, her desk just across the open plan floor. I caught her glancing at me, her tailored blazer no longer a shield, her eyes nervous. After the board meeting, I'd overheard whispers, colleagues gossiping about her shady move. She'd lost her edge, but I wasn't done. During a coffee break, I pulled her aside in the break room, the smell of burnt espresso thick in the air. "Lena," I said, my voice low but firm, "withdraw from the project, or I report your email to the board. Every lie you told about me." She flinched, her southern drawl shaky. "I was under pressure, Zara. I didn't mean to hurt you," I cut her off. "You meant to bury me. Step back, or I'll make sure everyone knows." She nodded, mumbling an apology, and by the next day, she'd requested a transfer to another team. Claire, my boss, called me into her office that afternoon, the Austin skyline sprawling behind her through floor-to-ceiling windows. "You've got guts, Zara," she said, leaning back in her chair. "And talent. The board's impressed. You're leading this project, full control." I nodded, my chest swelling, but not with pride. Something deeper, like I was finally seeing myself clearly. I'd fought for my place here, just as I'd fought to break free from my family's demands. The city outside sparkled, its neon lights dancing on the Colorado River, and for the first time, I felt like I belonged to it, not just to someone else's needs. That night, I sat in my apartment, the creaky window letting in the hum of South Congress, laughter from a nearby bar, the strum of a street busker's guitar. I replayed the day in my head. Lena's defeat, Claire's trust, that email to my family. I flashed back to San Francisco, the fog wrapping around my old life, the nights I'd spent staring at the bay, wondering if I'd ever be enough. I'd been their fixer, their safety net, but never their equal. Now, in Austin, I was building something new, not just a career, but a self. The guilt still lingered, a faint whisper asking if I'd abandoned them, but I drowned it out. I wasn't running anymore. I was standing tall. My phone sat silent on the nightstand. No new calls since those 6 voicemails. I didn't check it, didn't need to. I knew what they'd say, more pleas, more blame. I thought of Mom's tearful voice, Ezra's desperation, and Dad's anger. They'd called me selfish, but they'd never asked about my dreams, never seen me beyond what I could give. I looked out at Austin's skyline, the city alive with possibility, and felt a shift inside me. I wasn't just surviving their betrayal or Lena's. I was rewriting my story, but as I lay in bed, the ceiling fan creaking above, I knew the fight wasn't over. Those voicemails were a ticking bomb, and sooner or later, I'd have to face the fallout, or choose to let it burn. 6 months after sending that email to my family, I stood on a stage in Austin, the spotlight hot against my skin, the hum of a packed conference room buzzing in my ears. I was 26, a survivor of betrayals that had nearly broken me, my family's accusations in Oakland, Lena's knife in my back at work. But here I was, leading a financial workshop for young women. the Austin skyline twinkling through the venue's windows like a promise kept. I'd drawn a line in the sand with that email, refusing to be my family's ATM, and I'd fought for my place in this city. Damn, it felt good to be standing tall, no longer just surviving, but thriving. The workshop was my idea, born from late nights in my South Congress apartment, the neon taco stand glowing outside as I sketched plans to empower others. I told the crowd of 50 women, some fresh out of college, others starting over after divorces, my story. The sister who gave everything, the coworker who stole my work. The moment I said no to both. You don't have to be everyone's savior, I said, my voice steady. Your worth isn't what you give, it's who you are. The applause hit like a wave, and for the first time, I didn't need my family's approval to feel whole. I saw myself in those women's eyes, survivors like me, and knew I was building something bigger than myself. Back in Oakland, my family was scraping by. Mom emailed me a month ago, her words tentative. Ezra had taken a barista job, paying off debts in pennies. They'd lost the house, now renting a cramped apartment. We're sorry, Zara, she wrote. Come home, I replied. Short and firm. I've done enough. You've got resources, use them. I'd sent a list of free financial aid programs, but not a cent of my money. I thought of that night in my car. The voicemails, Ezra's sobs, Mom's pleas, Dad's anger, each one a hook trying to pull me back. I'd been called selfish, but I saw it now. Their chaos wasn't my fault. Letting them face it was my way of breaking free, my quiet revenge. At work, I'd turned the tables. Leading the restructuring project, I brought in millions in funding. My name now a whisper of respect in the warehouse office's exposed brick halls. Lena was gone, transferred to a dead-end role after her apology fell flat. Claire, my boss, called me into her office one day, the Colorado River sparkling outside. You're a leader, Zara, she said. We're eyeing you for a director role. I nodded, a grin escaping. I'd fought for this, not just against Lena, but against the part of me that once believed I was only practical. Austin had become my home, its vibrancy seeping into my bones. I spent weekends at Zilker Park, sprawled on the grass, music from SXSW drifting over the hills. I took salsa classes at Guero's, my hips finally finding rhythm, laughing with strangers who became friends. I joined a jazz band, my saxophone's wail blending with the city's pulse at late-night gigs on 6th Street. Every morning, I ran along the Colorado River, the water catching the sunrise like liquid gold. I wasn't just living, I was alive, untethered from the fog of San Francisco, from the weight of being my family's fixer. Looking back, I saw the girl who'd sat on her San Francisco balcony, staring at the bay, wondering if she'd ever be enough. I saw the teenager working coffee shop shifts while Ezra got guitar lessons, the woman who canceled her dreams to bail out his flops. That dinner in Oakland, with its chipped china and Mom's tears, had shattered me, but it also set me free. Lena's betrayal, echoing my family's, was the final test. I'd passed it, not by fighting with fists, but by standing up for my worth. Damn, I'm stronger than I thought, I whispered one night, my saxophone case at my feet. The Austin skyline, a canvas of neon and stars. My phone stayed quiet now, no more urgent calls. I didn't need to hear Ezra's apologies or Mom's pleas to know I'd made the right choice. I'd given them tools to survive, but I wasn't their savior anymore. I was Zara, blonde, blue-eyed, a survivor who'd learned her value wasn't tied to what she could give. As I stood on that stage, the crowd's applause fading, I realized revenge wasn't about hurting them. It was about letting them face their mess while I built my own life. So here's my truth. Sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is walk away. Whether it's a family that takes you for granted or a coworker who stabs you in the back, you don't have to prove your worth by fixing their chaos. You're enough, just as you are. I found that out here, in Austin's golden light. And if I can do it, so can you. Have you ever had to cut ties to save yourself? Don't let anyone, family, colleague, anyone, make you doubt your strength. You're a survivor and you deserve to shine. So that's my story. How I went from being the family fixer to finding my own light in Austin's neon glow. It wasn't easy, saying no to my family's chaos or fighting back against Lena's betrayal. But damn, it taught me I'm worth more than what I can give. I'm a survivor and I'm not done yet. I want to hear from you. Have you ever had to walk away to find yourself? Maybe it was a toxic job, a friend who stabbed you in the back, or even family who didn't see you. Drop your thoughts below. Your story might just spark someone else's courage. Thank you for listening, for sitting with me through this wild ride. I'm grateful to everyone of. I'll be back, sharing more from this Austin life. Until then, keep shining, because you're enough, just as you are.